Coming up next on HBC TV 25, Spirit of the Heartland with Joyce Woodworth. Brought to you by Winona Health, a friend for life. By Coldwell Banker, Skeels Moore and Associates, Winona's #1 home seller. And by Merchants Bank, with real local ties.
Winona Health's Community Memorial Hospital offers state-of-the-art capabilities, including minimally invasive surgery. Highly skilled surgeons and nurses make your care their first priority.
My surgeon, the anesthetist, and the surgical nurses clearly explained my options. I knew what to expect every step of the way.
Community Memorial Hospital. Exceptional surgical care close to home.
Winona Health, a friend for life.
Hi, I'm Bob Skeels.
And I'm Janelle Moore from Coldwell Banker, Skeels Moore and Associates.
We're Winona's #1 home seller.
And here's why that's important to you. Our team of experienced agents work together to help you get the most value for your property when you sell and guide you to the right new home when you're ready to buy.
Proven results, repeat business, and referrals make Coldwell Banker the #1 home seller in Winona year after year.
The home market is very good right now. Why don't you give us a call today?
What is banking all about? It's about him, her, them. It's about managing today's challenges and planning for tomorrow's opportunities. It's having someone there when you need them, a trusted resource, a partner, a bank that knows you, not as a number or an account, but as a friend. Far from ordinary, right at home. That's Merchants Bank.
Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland. The Dakota Gathering, held the first weekend in June, has become an annual event. Each year, the Dakota Native Americans come from across the United States and Canada to gather on their original homeland here in Winona, Minnesota, to share and celebrate their culture and their stories. Today we'll see some of their traditions, which date back prior to the 1850s, when such gatherings were more commonplace and more than likely held on the same plot of land, then called Wapish's Prairie. The people of the Dakota Nations lived in the Winona area before the American continent was discovered in 1492. Here they lived off the land until the treaties of 1851 and 1853 removed them to a small strip of land in southwestern Minnesota. They scattered from here to the Dakotas, Nebraska, Montana, and Canada. Each year, the people of the Dakota Nations are welcomed back to Winona, their original homeland.
All right. Hey, we got some more people coming here. You see, that's what it's all about.
Each year since 2004, the Dakota Indians and the current residents of the land gather together and participate in the traditions of the Native Americans.
I'm an Indian. What do we call Indian is a person that lived on this part of the country and also this world, which we call Turtle Island. Demakocheki ha ahana hechakche akan mahonimna. Naha hatkashna witagde cha ahana hechakche unipicha. On this Turtle Island, this is how we lived a long time ago, many, many years ago, many thousand years ago. And today, we share this and trying to share the way we live. Like all gatherings, we always say a prayer for guidance, understanding, and also become friends. But to get on with the program, if you bow your heads in prayer, we'll pray for the things we need to. Now we chose an I'm what they call a spiritual leader. I lead in prayer, lead in different ceremonies, help with the ceremonies, and also with the teepees and all, everything that is here that you see that's our way of life, we have input on that. And also that we work with the people very closely, and also we try to keep everything in tune with the nature and also the things that are around us.
We did a cleansing of for our soldiers, as we do like in flag raising. They did their prayers, and we did some cleansing songs for them with the drum, with the heartbeat, and purifying also for the people that were there to also participate. Maybe they have families, relatives that were in the service.
The dancing of the American Indian is extremely important to their culture. Every dance they perform carries much symbolism. Jackie Bird from North Dakota does a beautiful rendition of the traditional hoop dance. The hoop's colors represent the different nations and the 4 elements of the world: water, wind, earth, and fire. Jackie places them in the 4 directions of the land: north, east, south, and west. And in the center, representing the circle of nations, she manipulates the hoops around her body and becomes the eagle, the symbol of the United States. She then intertwines the hoops into the symbol of peace and harmony amongst all nations. 2 beautifully dressed and regal Indians join with Jackie Bird as they share their expression of hope for peace in another way, a way we are unfamiliar with.
Ways, and I really do. I'm also the mother of 4 and a grandmother of 1. I always like to sing this song. It's a song that my grandpa composed, and it says, when we come together and we celebrate life through singing, through dancing, through feasting, laughing, all these things, it makes our hearts feel happy. So I always like to start with this song.
Jackie Bird's sequined robe is spectacular, and like much of the Indian dress, is symbolic. She describes some of the symbolism to the audience.
When horses were going to go in full battle, they would put the stripes around their hooves, on top of the hooves, and then when they were going at full speed in battle in the land, if there were holes, somehow this was a medicine to help them not stumble into the land. So that had really a lot of meaning, and then Also, they would paint a circle around the left eye so they could see true and straight. And so I use paint a lot in my expressions. Right here I have floral designs, and that was for a good meeting.
Her colorful moccasins are beaded in a beautiful design. The beading and making of the moccasins is also a tradition that has been passed down through the generations. Ramona Stately tells us how she acquired the knowledge.
A lot of people say, how do you know how to make these? How did you learn how to make these? And that was just such an awesome story for me, because my nephew wanted to dance and he was about 13. And so for Dakota people, it's the auntie's responsibility to make the shoes. So I told Charlie, okay, he wants to dance, I'm going to make these shoes. So we got a pattern, and Charlie helped me cut them out and everything, and it took me weeks to draw the pattern down for how they were going to be. And I started sewing. And I called my dad on the phone and I said, there's something really funny about these shoes. I said, they're perfect. And I could see every time I put another line of beadwork, they were so straight. And I said, it's almost like someone works through me, because I don't know how I know how to do this. So these shoes are here. I have to show you these shoes. The first pair I ever made. About 2 weeks later, we went to Santee and we were at a reunion. And one of my cousins got up and read my great-great-grandmother's obituary. And it said she made the finest moccasins around, and she had 5 daughters, and they all made beautiful moccasins. And I thought, well, okay, this is my blood. These are Plains moccasins, and you can tell one way you can tell is they always have a hard sole. They're 2 pieces with a hard sole. So the hide that I use when I make these is hand-tanned deer hide, and the deer hide is the process of turning the skin into a leather is done with the brains of the deer. They take it and they mix it up into this mixture, and they lay it all over the hide, and it softens and it breaks down all the hard fibers on it, and then you can scrape it. And the longer you scrape it, the softer it gets. If you stop in the middle of the process, it turns into rawhide. And then if you keep scraping, it turns into this nice soft hide. So when you sew on it, it's just like sewing on cloth. This hide will last over 100 years. Regular leather has a way that it's tanned with chemicals. And the chemicals eventually break down. 20 or 30 years, the leather falls apart. This leather is what's in museums today. And it's over 100 years old. We're not really sure how long it'll last. When I make my shoes, it's really important to me to make shoes that fit the person that's wearing them. They fit like a glove. They're made for each person's foot. In fact, you can see, these are my son's. You can see his footprint. And they're made exactly for the person that's wearing them every time. And the significance of shoes is the path that we choose to walk in our lives. And for Native people, we walk too. You know, we have to walk with within white man's society, but we also have to choose to go back and keep our traditions alive and our ancestors alive and their stories alive. And for me, making the shoes, it really brings that point home about how we choose to walk in our lives.
One of the things that they're doing here was really kind of outstanding. They have moccasin tournaments. Back in our days, that was a warriors game. It was 2 warriors, I believe, so Ojibwe and Dakota met. And each of those warriors always carried an extra pair of moccasins. So it was through the common language that we really have is the sign language. And it was always, same throughout the whole world. So through the motions, whatever, and gestures, I suppose, they took their moccasins off, and then they took the other pair. And then they hid inside the moccasin. So that's an old. And the winner of that, they played it. We could say maybe 20, 25 days. That's what they played it with, because we gambled on life at that time. The winner of that game was going to lose their life. Okay, so, and that's why today we call it a gambling game.
The winner of that game or the loser of that game?
The winner gets to do the killing. I mean, that was back in them days, okay. But the winner is, there's some monetary, prizes that's set aside for this. So that's the reason why they came back, and also to stress that, these are some of the things that we did here. And it was more, and today it's a social game for the men folks. And it's a gambling game is what it is.
The beat of a drum and chants are used during the game to create energy and suspense. The game is similar to the nutshell game from Victorian times, where a metal bead is placed underneath one of 4 square pieces of fabric, replicating the moccasins of former times. Much cunning is used in the hiding of the bead. The person elected to do the concealment must fool the opposing team members by using much pretense. He must keep a poker face and give nothing away as he manipulates the bead underneath the moccasins. He is supported by other team members who consult with one another as to where they feel the opposition's bead is hidden. Once in agreement, they flip over the moccasin to discover whether or not they made the correct choice and are rewarded with the presence of the hidden bead. The game is a betting game where they accumulate sticks for each correct guess. The team with the most sticks, just like the winning poker gambler collects the most poker chips, is the winner of the game and whatever amount of money has been bet. Can you tell me a little bit about the drumming, what that all means?
Drumming is the hide is coming from a deer. If you listen with the heart of it, you're going to listen to your heartbeat. The faster the beat, it's going to make you move better. And also, the drum might have a slower tempo. It could slow you down to where you need that. All these songs are put into this drum to represent everything has a heartbeat. Your eagle has a heartbeat. Your turtle has a heartbeat. Anything that you can think of that has a heart, that represents that. So this drum is really important, and singing is very important.
There's a real spirituality in their coming or gathering here, and there's a lot of healing, not only between the native peoples themselves, because they've been spread out. It's a gathering of reconciliation amongst the various tribal entities. And then we want to incorporate the white community in that spiritual aspect of healing and reconciliation. And I think a lot of people will sense that and feel that, and it's going to be a real positive thing for the city of Winona to be the one to initiate that.
The city of Winona can be truly proud of initiating the Dakota Gathering and continuing on year after year in welcoming the Dakota people back to their homeland and reaching out throughout the year to the impoverished reservations, the Crow Creek in South Dakota and the Santee in Nebraska, to help in whatever way we can. Two descendants of the Dakota chiefs, Wabasha and Big Eagle, sit together on the shore of Lake Winona to express their feelings of Winona's welcome during the Dakota Gathering.
I'm Pat Big Eagle. I'm from the Crow Creek Sioux Indian Reservation in South Dakota. I'm a descendant of great descendant of Chief Big Eagle. At one time was here in Winona and had camped in this area. Spent some time here with the Chief Wabasha and the other tribe, and we're here to continue that tradition of camping here or staying here in Winona, in this area where our ancestors had stayed at one time in history. And it's really a great opportunity for us, and we've really enjoyed being here. We've enjoyed the hospitality that the people here at Winona have expressed to us and showed us. They've made us feel very much at home and have treated us very well, like we're human beings, and we really appreciate that. It's been good. We look forward to coming back again in the future.
My name's Rod Steiner, and I'm enrolled at the Santee Sioux Nation of Nebraska, at Santee, Nebraska, and it was one of the places when we were exiled from Minnesota where they sent our people. And I've been involved with this now this is the third year that I've been involved with the homecoming, and I've seen bigger things coming out of it, and they expressed the desire to help us with economic development on our tribes and getting our infrastructure improved, and all the clothing and stuff they sent out, and clothing that's going out this week, and the people really need it, and they've really been well received out there, and I just I can't get over the people from Winona, how friendly they are and how serious they are about helping us. And I used to go to a lot of powwows, and I've always heard white people tell me how the government had cheated us out of our land, and boy, you guys really got took. And I always used to think to myself, well, they're still doing it, and why don't you help us? And I said, we always have had white people that have tried to help us, but we never had enough of them. And when they did try to help us, they were vilified by the rest of the white government and the white people. And the way Winona stepped forward and tried to help us, it's just unbelievable. And Lyle has always said that this could be a model for the way Indians and white people should get along. And I just hope it comes to pass and it gets to be a big thing, and this could be on the national news, and this is what should happen. We're real people, and we get along good with the white people. When we get together, we just have a good time, and that's the way it should be everywhere, even in the states where there's a lot of racism that just it should end. Once you get to know us and we get to know you, we can get along. And I hope this just spreads all over the country.
Winona is taking the gathering to a new level by actually providing a specific area of land behind the hospital and just below Sugarloaf, which will be used for future homecomings. This circle of land is called Unity Park and should be landscaped and ready for the 2008 Dakota Gathering. I'm sitting in the center of what's going to be Unity Park here in Winona with Tim Briza, who is a Winona City Council member, and Tim actually was the first person who thought of the idea of placing Unity Park here. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Joyce.
Now, I understand that the Dakota Gathering really was the inspiration for this park. Is that correct?
That's right. We had been looking for a place for the celebration for a number of years. It had been located in another part of the park. But this park has a lot of characteristics that make it a unique setting for the natives, and it's a beautiful setting for us too.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. And tell me a little bit more about the park. Is it just going to be for the Dakota Gathering?
No, as we talk about the Dakota homecoming, we talk about the homecoming for the Native Americans who have been here for many, many years before the first white men appeared. But we also talk about the homecoming for students and families that may have been here before, or just for Winonans. It's a homecoming park for everybody. But that's also a unity park for everybody. It brings all of us together as one.
Okay, what kind of things do you picture going on here?
Well, for the Native Americans, there is a format called a powwow, or a gathering, and there will be native dances here in the circle and other activities. There will be other vendors on the outside of the park. So that's part of the Dakota portion of that. But, you know, this is a great setting for Beethoven in the park or Shakespeare. It's a great setting for a big family homecoming. It will be used by all of the people of the community.
Oh, it's going to be multi-used, I'm sure, in many, many ways.
Yes.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for the initial idea and seeing that it's coming to fruition.
Thank you.
The stonework in Unity Park is set in place. The large blocks of limestone originally quarried from the bluffs around Winona were once used to support the old wagon bridge. The landscape design comes from award-winning landscape artist Mark Swart. John Borman, supporter of the gathering, tells us more about the design of the park.
Now this is what it looks like from the top, and the stage area would have 7 pillars behind it, and that's to denote the 7 council fires of the Dakota Nation. And then we would also have 4 additional pillars on both sides. One would be for the Winnebago tribe, the other for the Ho-Chunk, another one would be for the Ojibwe, and the other one would be for all nations. The idea is that this would not only be a place for the Dakota to come back to and for the people of Winona to enjoy these homecomings, but that other natives could come, Native Americans could come back here and hold powwows, particularly all nations powwows back here. And that's the idea of doing that. Also, this area here will be a series of ponds and waterfalls, and the idea there is to actually create an environment where they'll grow wild rice, water lilies, sweetgrass, and things like that, so that all of this thing will have this whole area will have all the native plants that were originally here back when the Dakota were here.
This is a very positive thing, and I'd like to thank the city for considering to give us a little piece of land over here as a reconciliation garden or walkway or whatever they're calling it, you know, a park or something. I've been asked to provide some background as to what to put in that park, and I've been doing my best in talking with a lot of my elders to see what we should put in there and how we should do it. And hopefully that when that's done, the people of Winona can see and understand that this place was our Eden. And by sharing the plants and the botanicals that are going to go into that garden, they'll see how we live, and they'll maybe understand our relationship to the earth.
Thank you so much, and let me offer a positive gesture here.
Sure, thank you very much.
Okay. I'd like to thank the Dakota Native Americans for sharing with us their culture, their traditions, and their stories, and especially for initiating the development of Unity Park, which I think in the future will be a homecoming place for many generations to come. Thanks for joining me today. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the Spirit of the Heartland.